Hello, welcome back to our podcast today. We are going to be talking to you all about self-care and resources that help you rest and recharge in your business. It's a topic we've talked about a couple of times on the podcast, been incredibly honest in terms of our own journeys with self-care and our own journeys with mental health and keeping ourselves well inside of our business. But we don't want to just delve into anything kind of anxiety related or anything like that. And just to be finishing your day feeling drained, feeling tired, having really little downtime. These kinds of things can also make you think, do I need to be looking after myself better? So yeah, today we're going to be providing you with resources that are going to encourage you to make some more time for yourself and make that a priority, because among other things, it's going to help you to set boundaries, build your confidence, and make sure you're feeling good while you're going through this wedding business journey today.
The thing is, you spend a lot of time looking after your business, so you need to be equally spending the same amount of time looking after yourself. It's so important, and it gets overlooked by most people, by everybody actually, I think at some point in their business journey. It's almost, sometimes I have felt, I don't know, like because I run my own business, I have to go all of the time. I don't deserve, or well, not don't deserve, but almost.
There's always something to do.
Yeah, there's always something to do. Yeah. Whereas if you are in full-time employment, you do your job in your working hours, you come home, like my husband, shuts the door on his work and then goes into exactly, yeah.
But it's so important because you're putting hard work in, and this means that we need to be like healthy, we need to be at our best, and practicing self-care can be just so much easier said than done, because gosh, like we're all busy, right? There's a million and one things on our mind at any given one time. And I bet really that one of the last things you think about, like when you know that you've got a to-do list, is logging off early to take a walk or to practice some mindfulness or to read a book or to watch some Netflix, whatever it is. But we're going to talk to you today about shifting that mindset to really think about that you have to be able to put yourself first in order to be able to be the best wedding pro and person that you can be. Like, continuing to just show up for other people when you don't take care of yourself first is just unsustainable, and it's only going to lead to burnout. You can't pour from an empty cup, and self-care ensures that you just have the tools you need to fill it up even after your hardest day. So we're going to delve into that today, which is a really important topic, especially coming off the back of Mental Health Week, which was last week. Also my birthday last week. Thank you so much for all the birthday messages. It always fills my day and makes me feel lovely about myself when people are wishing me happy birthday. So thank you so much for those of you that took the time to send me a little message. I had a really nice couple of days and a bit of a chilled one on my actual birthday. And also, like, this is one of the reasons why we're supporting Mind this year at WedCon, isn't it, Roxy?
It is, yeah, it definitely is. It's something that is close to our hearts, and like we say, so important. So we hope you love these tips that we are going to be giving you. So let's talk about that work-life balance. And is it possible being a wedding business? Sometimes it can feel like it's absolutely frigging impossible, doesn't it? Like just juggling all the things, spinning all the plates. Not only do you work, you've got other things going on in your life as well.
But I think as well in this industry, like we pour so much emotion, like this is the most important day of our couples' lives, isn't it? Like, and we pour there's so much emotional attachment for our couples, and a lot of that weighs on our shoulders. Like, we're confident, we're not just planners, photographers, florists, whatever it is that we do inside the industry. We're also listeners, and we take on a lot of the stress, and we absorb a lot of the questions, a lot of the stress, a lot of that emotion from our couples. And I think that's why it can feel why we pour so much into this job. It's not just a job, is it? It's not just something we can go home at the end of the day. We are emotionally invested into our couple's happiness and into our couple's day. So yeah, like, I think, yes, 100% it is possible to draw a work-life balance and have work-life balance. And the businesses we've worked with in the past, There's loads of different things that we can do, and we can talk to you today about some of those things that you can do inside of your business to just give you back a little bit more time. But also it's just about having that mindset shift, isn't it? And being able to just draw a line to create balance for you, what you are going to take home, what you're not going to take home. And what I mean by that, when lots of us work from home, is like when that laptop goes away, when you shut off and stop doing your work now, what are the things that you're going to be thinking about, and what are the things that you're going to say, no, that can wait until tomorrow?
Yeah, sometimes it can feel hard though, can't it? And I've totally been there. Sometimes I have to almost scratch that itch and go, oh, you know what, I'll just do that now so it's out of my mind. But other times I have to be really disciplined with myself about this, and I'll just write it down, make sure I don't forget it. I know that it's not urgent to be done this evening, can wait till tomorrow. Let's go and enjoy some time with my daughter playing gymnastics in the garden. That's what she loves to do. But it's so important to have that work-life balance to be able to have a successful wedding business and also lead a full and fulfilling personal life. Both things are totally possible to be done. And I think finding that balance can look different to each and every person. Even the way me and you have that work-life balance is quite different, isn't it? And sometimes I used to probably mimic myself on, oh, like Katie does this, so I can do this. But whereas now I think, okay, like I know I'm going to get done what I need to get done, but I also need to do X, Y, Z at home. And it's just about working out what's important to do now, what's important to leave till later.
I think that's in terms of being productive and not busy, isn't it? And like,
yeah,
how like everyone's daily schedule is likely to be a busy one, but there's a difference between busy and productive. And being busy is a way to get things done, but being productive is a way to get things done with time to spare, because productivity like requires you to think more about what it is that you're doing, which then allows you to build in time for things other than work. If you struggle to leave work at work and be present at home, start thinking about the ways you can become like more productive in your job, and open up blocks in your schedule for family or me time, like literally block them out inside your schedule. But the other thing really in terms of that, and that is a really good point, like we're in a service-based industry, like if you're somebody that doesn't get enough self-care or enough time to themselves, like plan for it, because we can only give right when we have something to give. And trying to pour into your couples and into their day from an empty cup isn't the client experience that your couples deserve or you want to provide. So today on this podcast, like we really want you to just take this opportunity to pause and think about what it is you need to do in order to take care of yourself, so that you can wake up every day and work with the level of enthusiasm, creativity and attention to detail that your job demands, and just create that sense of balance as a wedding pro. And one of the ways to do that is by making rest a priority. Like, yes, there's always something to do and almost everything feels like it's important, and that pressure to make sure that your clients are taken care of, that you're always 2 steps ahead of them, you're dreaming up new ways to grow your business, you're making sure that your team members have whatever they need. All of this stuff can keep you up at night, and it's kept me up at night before, and it can make rest feel like it's a luxury. But rest is actually a necessity when you run a business and you make lots of decisions inside your business each and every single day. You can decide to make rest a priority too.
I have not always been good at, I will rest, but I have to sometimes. Not so much now, but previously I've had to almost force myself to rest, even just like mentally rest. If to shut the door on the work and be present in the moment, because I get like incredible almost guilt, like it's so strange, but yeah, I get like a guilt feeling that because I've got something to do, that makes me feel guilty that I'm resting and not doing something which I know doesn't need to be done now, but geez, it used to niggle away in my mind. And it is just about changing that mind frame and that mindset. Like, I 100% know that I have never not done anything in my business that I need to do. Like, it's never happened, and it's never going to happen, because I love my job, as you guys love the couples you work with, and you love your job too. So get rid of that guilt, bin the guilt off, and actually enjoy the rest mode, because without the rest mode, eventually burnout's going to come, isn't it?
I think, there are, especially like everything in business can feel important. And one of the things I quite often say, we say to each other now, your thing is important now. And now I like to distinguish that between client work is important. So we work with quite a few clients and there is an expectation there for us. We have one-to-one clients and group program clients. And in some of those programs, our clients get access to us. So when they've got something going on in their business, yes, that takes priority. And that is a priority task. And you will have priority tasks inside of your business too. Your client work, if there's a drama, if their venue pulls out, whatever it might be, where that has to take priority. But this shouldn't be happening on a regular basis for you. And then secondary to that, there are tasks that just aren't urgent. Do I need to be doing that on my website today, right now, or can that wait? Could I schedule and be a little bit more productive on my social media so that I don't need to be inside social media each and every single day? Could I edit all of our podcasts together so that I don't need to be doing that each and every single day? So it's about understanding what is urgent and that feeling that you were getting, Roxy, in terms of, oh, these things need to be done. Yes, there's always things that need to be done, but we can be busy fools, and like we can be just busy for the sake of being busy, and it's not really driving our business forward. So one of the things, is to, yes, have boundaries for yourself, establish what is busy work and what is important work. And the important work, yes, you show up for and you give yourself 100%, you give it 100%, you give your clients 100%, exactly what they deserve. But the busy work, think about how you can systemize that to give yourself a little bit more time and create boundaries. Like, have boundaries for yourself. The boundaries that you have for your clients and you've put in place and having good boundaries with your clients, have boundaries for yourself too. Like, decide on a time that you're going to put the screens away, or set out of office replies over the weekends, like that you've got off, so that you're not having to have notifications come up on your phone of emails that have come in, etc. There are ways that you can enforce self-care boundaries on yourself. Like, one of the things I would do when I was at work mode was that I would put my phone in another room, because it's all like notifications, isn't it? It's so easy to pull you in. And I would just put my phone in another room.
I'm exactly the same. I've got a little shelf. I put my phone on the shelf, or I give it to my daughter so I can't use it, or like, just, you have to be so disciplined and set those boundaries. And I know that some of you listening, because I was exactly in this camp of, gosh, this feels like, where do I even start with this? And what I would say to you is, it does take a little bit of time to change how maybe you're currently working into a better, more self-care driven way of working. But what I used to do, and I don't have to do it now because it comes more naturally, is when I felt like I had to do something right now, like, oh, my life, like something niggling in the back of my mind, I used to just challenge myself, and I used to just say, just see what happens if you don't do it right now. Let's just sit with that feeling, just see what's going to happen if you don't do this thing right now, and then in half an hour's time, let's reassess how I'm feeling. And 9 times out of 10, that would make me forget. I wouldn't even go back and think about it half an hour later. I'd write it down, and then I would sort it out in the morning. And it is just about changing those routines in your mind, because that can lead to a very unhealthy way of working. Because that,
yeah, and it leads out, it just leads, when that is consistent, it just leads to burnout, or this urgent dread feeling inside of us that all of these things in our business need to be done right now. And burnout is one of the worst things you can go through. Like, when you're burnt out, it's hard to take care of yourself, it's hard to even find the joy in what you do, and you can't give your couples the kind of care and experience you want. And one of the best things and ways you can do to show up for your business is to understand what burnout is and just avoid it altogether, really. And I know that seems really hard, but one of the easiest ways to do that is, it starts with taking care of yourself, like getting good quality sleep, whatever that means for you, maintaining time for self-care or a regular routine of exercising, whatever that looks like for you, all contribute to a happy and healthy you, which then means that you're able to give that to your clients. Like, burnout happens when you are holistically out of whack with yourselves, like when too much has come in. To make these things a priority, and you'll be less likely to get physically and emotionally depleted. Learn how to say no. As a service provider and inside this industry, I think many of us are self-proclaimed people pleasers, and saying no can make it feel like you're not doing your job. But the thing is that saying no is what's going to help you maintain the boundaries and routines you need in order to be able to feel energized about your work. So whatever you need to start saying no to in order to keep your calendar from getting crazy busy, or whatever you need to say no to yourself to do in order to be able to go to bed on time, to put the phone away, whatever it is, be distraction free. We promise that's going to help you avoid getting burnout in the first place.
And I think you can also look for ways to automate some processes in your business, or even delegate some stuff. And it can be difficult being a solopreneur, not having your hands in every bit of your business all of the time, but you can save yourself a lot of stress and a lot of time when you lean into the things that maybe you do, but actually an automation can do, or maybe you're at that point where a VA can do that, whether it's like setting up business systems, taking advantage of marketing tactics that are hands off, or hiring someone that you can delegate some of those responsibilities to, making sure that you are not that kind of everything lands on you and you are not that single point of failure, can really help take that stress off.
Even if it's something level, like using some templates inside of your business, it doesn't have to be everything on your shoulders. That's such a massive weight to carry, especially if you're somebody that is, I've had experience with this, like at a point where you're hiring staff or thinking about growing your business. It's not just then about you showing up and providing your service every day. You're already thinking, like, you're thinking of ways to grow your business, and you've got the responsibilities of now being an employer and making sure that your employees get paid, etc. You know? But we just have to learn to control what we can control and let go of what we can't. And I know that's easier said than done, like especially in an industry where we're relying on other people to do their job too as well, where some of the time we have to create backup plans for our clients, accepting that some things are just outside of your control, and learning how to identify like those moments where when you're worrying, it's not actually that productive. You can help your emotions just be as healthy as they can be. So don't let things that might happen in the future take up too much space, and just stay focused on solutions opposed to being obsessed with the problem. And one of the things that I've heard that have helped me think about this is that when we worry about the future, we replay that scenario and we live that scenario at least twice. Whereas if we didn't worry about it, we'd only go through it once, if it even happened. A lot of this worry is in our mind. So try to be solution focused rather than problem focused. We all know, as wedding professionals, how important it is to be networking and connecting inside our industry. Are you going to be at WedCon this year in November? Come and join us for a day of networking with the best inside the industry, a day of amazing education with 5 global renowned industry speakers, me and Roxy to be able to cast an eye over your business, and a room full of other like-minded wedding professionals for a day of learning, education, and a day where we are going to look after you inside your business. To get your hands on one of the few remaining tickets, check out the link inside the show notes, and we hope to see you there.
A lot of this does come down to mindset. And for me, I mean, I've experienced burnout 2 times now. And for me, I didn't know really it was happening until it's literally smacked me in the face. But now, after I have spoken to professionals, got therapy that I needed, and I don't mind talking about it because it's literally changed my mindset, I now can see the little signals, the little warning signs that were actually there that I just masked over and carried on, when actually that is not the right thing to do. And what I was doing was I was not looking after myself. I was working, even if I wasn't physically working, I was like working in my mind. Everything felt urgent. Therefore, I don't know, it just spirals for me. But I then spoke to my GP, got the support that I needed. And it's literally taken me, I think I've had 5 therapy sessions, and it's taken my anxiety from chronic anxiety right down to hardly any anxiety at all. So if you are feeling like all these things that we are saying are ticking the boxes for you, and you don't know where to go, what to do, just speak to somebody, speak to your GP, speak to friends, speak to family, and look at getting the support that you need. There's lots of online places that you can look on for support as well, and I'll pop some of those links in the show notes. But it doesn't have to feel like this, does it? It doesn't always have to be like this.
No, at all. And I think there's this thing whereby every business owner has experienced some sort of anxiety. We're relying on other people to pay our bills. We're relying on pushing our business forward to pay our bills. There isn't teams of people around us looking after marketing departments or sales departments, etc. It just falls on us largely. And that can be a little bit anxiety inducing, especially when we go through the news is talking about cost of living crises and people not spending, or we hit a rough patch in our business. It's very easy to think, oh, this is normal. It's part of being a budding business owner. It's part of being a business owner to go through anxiety. This is just normal. And it isn't normal. And we need to stop saying that to ourselves. Like, yes, we can care about our business and recognize where things might not be going so well for us, and where we need to strategize, and where we might need to go back to the drawing board and reframe things and have a look at things, and maybe talk to other people and invest in our business and get the learning and education we need. But it shouldn't be making you emotionally and physically unwell. Shouldn't be doing that. So I think that's just something that's said inside the industry. It's said inside like business owners forums. It's talked about like it goes hand in hand with being self-employed, and it really doesn't have to be at all. I think we need to stop normalizing that, and we need to, yes, we've all had experiences, or many of us have had experiences with anxiety. I just don't want people to think, oh, this is just like a rite of passage for a business owner, so I'm not going to go and get help. You don't want to be getting to a point where you're burnt out and you can't work for your couples. So it's about recognizing that you're going through this. Is this happening, and is it getting like a little bit worse? Do I need to go and see somebody about this? And there is lots of different options out there, whether it's meditation and relaxation, whether it's exercise, whether it's carving just some time for you, whether that is medication, whether it's therapy, whatever it is. There's loads of different channels in there, and you might start on one channel and go through a different channel. Years ago when I was burnt out, after that burnout session, I had a period of having anxiety, and I went on some anxiety medication and then came off the anxiety medication. And for me, I haven't had to go back on it again, but I've put in some lifestyle changes for me. So I've put in all of these things, like I try and not work at weekends. Now, sometimes that crops up and I do need to, but then I'll balance that out by taking a Friday afternoon off. Or I put the TV on each and every night and watch a bit of Netflix, and that's my downtime, so that I don't go to bed quirk mode, where my brain just goes. And exactly what you said, Roxy, it's like not even the physical tasks of your business. It can just be your mind overworking on it. You're still in work mode and you're not giving yourself that rest. So for me, I put in like clear boundaries with myself that, okay, 8 p.m, or it's actually much earlier than that now. It's like when the kids come home from school. Some of the time I'll work till 5. And then it's dinner time, the dinner goes on, and kind of work mostly is forgotten about. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of engagement on social media. It's a bit of a quiet time, but that's my choice to do. I don't feel like it urgently needs doing or anything like that.
Yeah. And I think I really want to say as well that exactly what you're saying about it shouldn't just be like a rite of passage into, okay, like this is normal because I run my own business. Actually, I don't want you to feel shame, embarrassment, nothing like that. Let's get rid of any stigma around that. If you are currently in a position where you're not enjoying what you do, like you're feeling like stressed all the time, like you've got too much to do, these are signs that you need to put some things in place to do some self-care and start looking after yourself before it spirals, because exactly what I've just said, it slapped me in the face and knocked me off my feet, and I don't want that for anybody else. So don't just really take care of yourself. And there's no shame in that. Like, you started your wedding business so you didn't have to work for anybody else, that maybe you can have a Friday off. You don't have to work when you don't want to. And then sometimes it ends up being like, bloody hell, I'm working more than I would do a full-time job. Like, work when you want to work, do what you want to do, and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the other thing to remember is, and something that I try to be conscious of, is that I've got little people watching me. So if mummy works, that will be their normal when they grow up. That will be their normal to think. So quite often I will say, not even just the work, but if I'm not practicing self-care and showing my children that this is healthy to practice self-care and healthy to have moments where we're bored or we're not doing anything or we're just enjoying life and we're going at a slower pace, then they will grow up in that kind of spin, go mode too. And I don't want it for them. So I'll quite often say to my daughter, it's a little bit of a nightmare going to bed, and she's almost 9. She's fine to go to bed, but she likes to come and find me. So she likes to come and be like, oh, mummy, stay with me, talk to me, read me a story. And I will say to her, like, no, darling, mummy needs to rest. Like, it's important for mummy to rest now. Like, mummy's going to go and sit down now. Mummy's been at work today. You're fine. You know, I'm going to go and rest. And I feel, because sometimes we can feel a little bit guilty about that, can't we? But I feel to offset that guilt, I'm teaching my children something in that when they're older, this will be normal for them too.
I am exactly the same. When you was just saying that then, it made me think that actually we were at that age now, not now, but when we were growing up, technology wasn't a massive thing. So we were doing things that kids should do, be out playing, climbing trees. But now like technology is surrounding our kids that are growing up. So it's so important to teach them this now, because to avoid all these kind of anxiety-based burnout things in the future. Let's normalize self-care, people.
Let's do it.
Starting a revolution.
Okay, so one of the things that always makes the clients that we work with feel uncomfortable, and actually I was having this conversation with my daughter the other day and her friends, is being able to say no. And it's an uncomfortable conversation sometimes, but you might need to have it. And it's just it's just another boundary that is protecting your own mental health, your self-care. So I 1,000,000% feel that we need to be more confident being able to say this to our couples and other people in our lives too, on how we don't have to work everything that comes through at all. If it's not a good fit, or saying no when somebody like tries to negotiate your rates down, or to really crazy requests that they might have, or saying no when you no longer feel comfortable to work a wedding anymore, or a couple wants their money back and they've cancelled the wedding and they want their deposit back, whatever it may be. Like, this is your business. You get the right to say yes and no. And a lot of us will say, oh, sure, yeah, no problem, I'll figure that out. And I think that's because we don't want to stomp on anybody's dream. But even as like amazing business owners and like A+ people pleasers that we are, there are times when saying no isn't just necessary, it's the right thing to do, and it's going to protect your business going forward. So your clients hire you because you're great at what you do and you can help them plan the best day ever. And while that used to be pretty straightforward, we've all learned that saying yes to all of our clients' wishes can have you hesitating, exactly with boundary setting for yourself. Have that in for your clients as well, and know that you need to enforce that no when you need to. And that might mean having some systems in place, making sure you've got good contracts in place, or you can say no in a nice way as well. Like, just if somebody comes along and they're not really a good fit for you, or their budget isn't quite right, it can be difficult to want to turn that client down without offending them. But whether you just say to them, look, I've got a lack of availability there, or you just cut right to it and tell them that you're not confident in providing the service that they want, like, resist the urge to tell like a lie about it, and just, you'll feel better for it. You'll feel better. And one of the things that we say is every time we say no to a client that isn't our right fit, we make space for a client that is. And I think that's a really good way to get your head around that, saying no to people that aren't that good fit for you.
Exactly that. And it's it's one of those mindset things. It's just about reprogramming your mind to think, is this the right thing for me to do? And something we do, don't we? Trust your gut. What's your gut saying about this? If something's not quite right and it's feeling like, maybe you should say no to this, start listening to that part of you that's, hello, I don't think we should be doing this, because probably going to be right, and that's okay. And this kind of is the same thing for personal life too, that I have had to learn to say no, and I wish that I would have just started doing this a lot sooner in my life. I'm glad that I've started now. Honestly, I know Katie's laughing, but I am a yes person. I will help anyone do anything, even if it means I've got to stop if I'm in the middle of eating my lunch and my neighbour comes around and says, "Oh, Roxy, we just do." "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'm coming now." Not anymore. And I know that
I did it this weekend, and yes, I felt a pang of a little guilt. Like, I got invited over to my parents' house. It was meant to be like my mum was having an operation and then it got moved, and I was going to go over and be around to help and whatever, and that was fine. And then the operation got moved, and it was, "Oh, he's still going to come over on the Sunday." And you know what? I just owned it, and there was no lie about it. And I just said, "Look, my kids are away this weekend for the first weekend in months, and I'm feeling really burnt out actually. So I'm feeling really tired. Driving, my parents don't live close, so driving all the way over there, spending some time with you, and then driving all the way back." I didn't say all of this, but this is what my thought process was. But I just said, "Look, I just need a day in front of the telly, and I'm going to go and see them this weekend instead." And it's all fine. It's all gravy. You don't have to say it in a horrible way, but and I needed that day. Whereas if I'd have gone over there, I wouldn't have had a break. They'd have been driving back, then the kids would have been coming home, or would have had to cook their dinner, and it wouldn't have been a break. And instead, I binge watch Netflix, and then I feel like my cup's filled up and I can come back to work, give my clients what they need, give my kids what they need.
Yeah, I think it's so important to say no, and it's okay to say no. Exactly what you said there. It doesn't have to be done in a horrible or a nasty way, but just it's okay to say how you feel and say no. Just there's no need to lie about things, because I have done that in the past. I've thought, oh no, all my life, like what can I say to get myself out of this situation? But now just own it. Look, like this has been happening, blah blah blah. So sorry, I'm not able to do it.
I think it's important to just, I don't know what it is about that we need to be yes people. I even had this conversation with my daughter. Like, my daughter feels guilty about saying no sometimes to her friends, and I was like, why, lovely? But look, and I was giving her some examples. So if your friend wants to go and play outside and you don't want to play outside, what would you do? Well, I'd play outside. And I was like, really? So we do some work on that, really. But some of the things she was saying no to, she definitely says no to tidying her room to me. But in terms of like why we feel like this need to people please all the time, I don't know what it is.
Oh gosh, I have been a people pleaser in the past. And actually it's funny because this started changing. So part of my kind of recovery from my anxiety, I had cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT. And on our last session, she was like, "You've been doing really well. I think we need to wrap these sessions up now." And I was like, "Yes, great." She says, "But I have noticed something about you. And it's that you're quite like a passive yes person." She said those exact words. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Like, I do anything for an easier life. And actually, quite often it's at the detriment to myself. So I've been working on being that no person and being more.
We need to just make it normal. We need to just make it normal to say, "Oh, actually," I don't know if it's as women,
maybe yeah.
More, but just to be able to say, oh no, I'd love to see you next time, but this time I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah. And apparently there is a communication method called assertive communication. I haven't done that much research into it yet, but it's something that I'm lacking in my communication skills, is being assertive. And this could be in my business world or in my personal life. If you're nodding along thinking, yeah, I could do with being a little bit more assertive, go and check out some stuff on assertive communication. It just really teaches you how to, even the way you speak can come across as passive or assertive. So like the way you say things like, "Oh, I think this," like what, like you don't need to say, "I think about this." It's just like, this is the thing that's happening. Take away those kind of passive words and really just own being you. So yeah, go and have a look at some passive communication if you think, yeah, not passive, assertive communication.
Not passive. We're stepping away from the passive, people.
Step away from the passive.
Just make it as normal as possible.
Exactly that, yeah.
Like I said, starting a revolution. Okay, really quickly, let's cover imposter syndrome, because I know that this fits into mental health quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's something I've struggled with it. I think I've struggled with it a little bit and then have got over it. Recently this year, actually, yeah, I can think of an example this year when we were putting out a program that we wanted to put out in terms of, and it's a really decent program, isn't it, that we were putting out, and I was about the price for weeks about it. And then I was like, I need to reframe how I'm thinking about this. And I was and thinking, oh, is this good enough? Is this going to stick? Are people going to pay for this? Is this what people, are people going to see the value in this? Are people going to see the value in me? And I did the wrong thing by looking at what other people were charging, and then that spiraled me even further. Yes, like imposter syndrome is a confidence killer, but it's something that most of us go through and I have to deal with at some point in our career. And I think because we're very much online focused now, aren't we? Our businesses are in the public eye, we're very connected, we need to be showing up, we need to show people what we're doing. And we can get into paranoitis. I don't know how to say that. We can start comparing ourselves to other people, can't we? And one thing to remember is we're only seeing like snippets of other people's businesses. Nobody's sharing like the grit behind their business on their wedding pages, because that's not what they're there to do. So we're only seeing snippets and the highlights of other people's businesses as well. But whatever the reason as to why you're feeling imposter syndrome, we want you to shake it and know that you're great at what you do. So something I found, which I found to be really helpful, and I shared it on our Instagram profile, so go and find it, was a video by E60. I might see if I can put it up and pull the sound up and see if you can get it for you. And basically what he says is that imposter syndrome is a good thing, because here we go. Let's see if we can hear this. Okay.
Time you make a new leap, you'll feel imposter syndrome. But that's great. Because that means you're growing. That means you're trying something new. I would never feel imposter syndrome if I never tried anything new. And that means I would live a boring, same life. And I don't want.
Yeah, and that made me really reframe that. So what he says is we feel imposter syndrome when we're going into new situations and trying new things. And that means that we're growing as people. And if we didn't feel imposter syndrome, that would mean that we weren't growing and challenging ourselves. And so I look at it now as just a normal part of the process, and that's something that, yes, it's pushing me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I like to be pushed outside of my comfort zone because I'm growing a business and I want to grow a business, and I want bigger things in my business than what's happening right now. We've got big plans for what we want to do, isn't it, Roxy? So imposter syndrome is going to creep up, and I just look at it as a normal part of the process, and I try not to let it get me down at all. And I definitely really try and step away from that comparing myself to other people situation.
I deal with this in a very evidence-based way, because lots of thoughts, is this the right thing to do, blah, blah, blah. I'm comparing myself to this person, that person. But I literally, okay, brain, let's look at the evidence of all of the, like, why are you good at your job? Okay, we've currently got lots of clients on our books that they wouldn't be booking with you, Roxy, if you weren't doing a good job. You've got thousands of reviews, and I keep them in an album on my phone, so I can go and I can actually read physically what actual clients have said about us and said about what we're doing. So then that instantly for me shuts the door on me feeling like a fraud, because I'm not a fraud, because the evidence is saying that I am doing a good job, that we've got clients that are amazing, which we have, that we've got fantastic reviews. And then the other side of it, the evidence to show that I'm an imposter, well, there is none. There's literally none. So I'm just like, shut up, imposter syndrome. I'm going to listen to all these nice people over here, and you can go and do one. The end. And I'm saying that like it's been really easy for me to do, but it really hasn't. It really takes a lot of brain training to keep your mind in a positive way. But it is so important. It's so important.
And I think when we're in that space where we're looking after ourselves and we've got a good balance between work and home, and I know people will be thinking, oh, it's easy for you, it's easy for you. Believe me, it's not easy, and it hasn't been easy. And we've got stuff going on in our personal lives, the challenges.
I can't even begin to tell you all of the stuff that I've got going on in my life. honestly.
We're still going through it and we're still running a business. And I was speaking to a client yesterday who was having a little wobble inside of her business. And I said, we had a really super successful business. Like, we built a business pre-COVID. We had like worldly events, 50 in the UK, 8 in Australia. We were growing our business, franchising our business, growing into new markets, and boom, it shut down. And then we were furloughed for a little period of time, and then we've had to build our business back up. So we are still in, like, riding that little roller coaster. And although in this business, we've been in business for 4 years.
You know what? It's 4 years and 4 months, and LinkedIn told me that this morning.
Oh, well done. Happy birthday. Is that we're still riding that kind of, there's challenging times, there's times where we need to work harder, there's times where we need to strategize. Absolutely, we don't have it figured out.
No.
Yes, like, we've built successful businesses in the past, but we're still going through this. COVID struck and it impacted us as well. So I don't want people to think like somebody said, oh, like, I really aspire to be like you and Roxy, and that was beautiful that they said, and I thought, oh yeah, amazing. But what we constantly say is we are goal focused, we know where we want to get, we know what we want to do to build this business, and we're determined. And that's like really our superpower, isn't it? And they're things that you can have too. So there's nothing special. I don't want people to think, oh God, it's easy for you girls, you've got nothing going on. Oh my goodness, we could bore your ear off, couldn't we? with what we could say.
Honestly, we are just human beings that have got lives and families, and we've got children that have got additional needs and all of that amazing chaos that brings, plus just having other children as well. We're just like you guys, but I think the difference between us and maybe some other people is exactly what you said. We keep putting one foot in front of the other, and we know where we want to go, and every day we wake up and we step a little bit closer to that.
And that's all it is. And then also like being big on looking after ourselves, and that's what we wanted you to take from this podcast. And yes, mental health crops up in lots of different ways now. It's talked about a lot more than it was, and that is a positive thing as far as we're concerned with. But start putting yourself to the bottom of the pile. It's been something that's happened with me this year, that I've been putting myself at the bottom of the pile. We've got some health issues going on inside my family that aren't me, but that has required me to step up a little bit more. And I've had to vocalize that I'm feeling burnt out and say to other people, can we rejig this? Can we look at this? And yes, that's not been easy sometimes. It's what we need to do. It's what's required to do for you to be able to look after your clients. So your well-being is important. Your health is important. If you feel like you need to reach out and talk to somebody, we'll pop some links inside of the show notes. We just want you to live your best life ever. And let's put some books in the show notes as well that people can go and check out as well. We're big on this, aren't we? So we thank you so much for joining us today on this important episode, and we will see you on the next one.